Hey y'all, what is up? It's Nicole Mendes, your host with Diamond in the South. We figured out how to put on music to intro the pod. It was very twangy. It gave Oklahoma, so I guess that's where that came from, but we like it. We'll be taking intro song requests, all of it. But before we get too far into it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, not just for the intro songs, but for the pods itself, not just mine, but the rest of them on the Softball America Network. Would love to see you guys here this week as we're heading into what is the last week of conference play before conference tournaments happen. There's a lot to unpack, but before we even get into unpacking where the rankings are, what does this mean? The final relays going on to see who can edge out another team, edge out the competition. We are joined by the one and only Ava Brown from the University of Florida. Ava,
Hello.
I am so pumped that you're here.
I'm so glad that you asked for me, and pleasure.
Yeah, so Ava and I go way back, all the way back to her senior year of high school.
Mhm.
We actually met way before that, but I think I really got to know you your senior year. I
Mhm.
worked with the Hot Shots Nelson team, and we worked on just kind of the mental game, kind of how to prepare yourself for college. And that team was still to this day, I was like, man, that team was so stacked.
Yeah.
There were so many just crazy talented athletes. One of your teammates at Florida, Mia, she also
Mhm.
was on that team. I mean,
Mhm.
just an absolute roster, but it's been really fun seeing you go from that senior in high school to where you are now. Just an absolute just journey. I love it. But speaking of journey, what has the journey been like this year? You're going to the last week of conference play.
Mhm.
You've had a whole year underneath your belt. Sophomore year, it's a completely different experience. Tell me about it.
I think this year has definitely been a lot different than last year. Last year was a lot of firsts. So
Yeah.
this year, being able to go in and kind of be the person that a lot of our younger athletes look to, just to ask questions and all of those things, it's been a lot different. Having
Yeah.
more of a leadership role has been a lot different for me also. But being able to go into this year just with a completely different mindset than last year, knowing it's a completely different team, a lot of different processes, a lot of different preparation, all that stuff has been really fun. Just because, obviously last year was the first collegiate team I'd ever been a part of. And so going into a new year was scary for everybody. But
Yeah.
being able to see the shifts and also the different styles of people and all of those things has been really cool. And then getting to play with them has been even better.
Yeah. You kind of talked about just a different mindset that you've had to enter into. And I remember my freshman year, and whenever you talk to a lot of college athletes, like freshman year, like you said, it's a lot of firsts. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, this is great. Preseason's so fun. Wow, this is the beginning of conference. This is so fun. We get to play at all these other stadiums. Wow, I'm exhausted. The season goes this long. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is a World Series. We're playing to compete top 8 teams. Like this is it, right? The
Yeah.
pinnacle, what you've always dreamed of. And then sophomore year, like, oh, like fall's the worst. Like
Mm-hmm.
to the freshman, like, oh, you don't even know. You don't even
Yeah.
know about the fall workouts, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, just wait until the end of preseason. Oh, just wait until the end of conference. How has that mind shift happened from the beginning of your career to all right, sophomore year, we're starting. I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
different place.
I think the big shift was like over the summer after season last year. I think now going into my sophomore year, knowing, okay, I did this, that didn't work for me. I need to do this, or I need to try this, or, I tried eating like this, and this. Now I really need to try and do this so that I do have more longevity and I don't get tired so fast. And, being able to navigate through those things that just come with like the maturity of being a collegiate player, I think has been the biggest shift for me, and knowing what my body needs, how to take care of myself better. Like I said, getting more longevity out of my body, and knowing like just because the first 3 months of the season feel great means that the last 3 months are going to feel possibly really tough on the body. And so being, and then also pitching and hitting has been a big part of that, and knowing how to manage my time outside of games and things like that has been definitely the biggest shift for me.
Yeah, before we talk about being a two-way player, let's talk a little bit more specifics on what exactly that you did, because I think that's something like you can tell people like, hey, like college is different. You have to rest your body. And you're like, yeah, yeah, like my body feels fine.
Mhm.
It's okay. But
Yeah.
whenever you're in the middle of that season, all of a sudden you're like, shoot, I wish I would have listened to them. But not only listened, but like, what do I do? Like,
Mhm.
how do I maintain? What is it that you're doing differently diet wise? What is it that you're doing differently recovering wise that has helped you this year?
Recovery wise, I would say the biggest thing for me has been because we have, optional lift days on and like days on off days and blah, 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 like all kinds of stuff that we can do. And I feel like last year I was so like the freshman in me was like, I need to be the earliest one there and I need to get a lift in and I need to do all this stuff. But really, like this year, what I've tried prioritizing is on those days where I don't feel like going, I still go, but I let myself get the extra hour of sleep. And then I foam roll and I stretch and I do mobility things rather than
Mm,
trying to lift and all of those things because my body doesn't necessarily need that because I'm going to still get my lift days in. So just knowing like stretching and doing all of those things is just as good. Maybe walking on the treadmill, just getting my blood flow going, like that has been a big game changer for me because I just feel so much more recovered the next day whenever we do have practice and weights and possibly class and all of those things and, letting my body kind of rest after, a 3 game series, possibly a travel day, getting back late, whatever. Like I don't have to be the hero in those moments. That's not what my body needs. That's not what my team needs. My team needs me to be able to play in June and not, go squat on our off day. Like that's not what's best for me.
it's
Um,
not my job.
yeah. And then diet wise, like I'm not somebody who likes to follow a diet because I am a big believer in like if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat what I want to eat, but also like knowing what I need in those moments is really helpful. So just really trying to prioritize making sure I always get enough protein. But always making sure that I get 3 meals in a day. It's really hard sometimes, like you miss a meal with timing and game day schedules and practice schedules and finals, happening right now and all the things. And I feel like last year I was so on the go that I would just not eat. I would snack from breakfast to dinner, and that's so
Hmm.
unhealthy. So I think really prioritizing making sure you get 3 meals a day, whether the timing looks like 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever the timing looks like throughout the day, just
Yeah.
making sure that the 3 meals are definitely getting eaten because if I don't, my body will not survive.
Your body thanks you for your service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's funny whenever you look at a typical athlete for softball and the ones that are performing at the highest levels, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different body types. You have different heights, you have different sizes, you have your itty bitty girls, and you have those girls that are just so strong, so jacked. And
Mm-hmm.
softball is such a diverse body shape, and there's a lot of different things and factors that go into whatever type of athlete you are for
Mm-hmm.
softball performing at your best. And I think college is a big part of figuring out, do I need to do extra work? Do I need to make sure that I'm eating 3 meals a day? Do I need to make sure that I'm getting an extra lift in? Or I just need to really focus on my recovery on certain days because that
Mm-hmm.
helps me perform to my best. Um, but going into the sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
you established yourself both ways as both a pitcher and a hitter.
Mm-hmm.
So far in this conference, what has been kind of the hardest thing to manage whenever you're juggling those two?
Really, for me, it's all mental.
Mm,
Physically, it's something I've always hit and I've always pitched. Obviously, not necessarily at this level, but it's just something
yeah.
I've always done. So for me, the mental side of it has been the hardest, being able to separate myself as a pitcher and as a hitter. Like to me, they're two different athletes. They're two completely different. And they have two completely different needs as far as preparation, as far as how much film I need to watch, how much film I need to go back and watch from the last
Mhm.
series, things like that. Pitching and hitting is completely different, and you're also surrounded by completely different people, completely different coaches who think completely differently. You have to put in different amounts of time and things like that. So
Yeah.
I have to be two different people for that time
Yeah.
period. And so being able to separate it mentally has definitely been the hardest thing, especially if I'm not performing in one and performing well in the other, or doing average at both, decent at both, good at the other, bad at one, whatever.
Yeah.
And it could change at any point. So being able to know that just because one may not be successful doesn't mean the other can't, and vice versa, knowing that my team needs me at both, but if they're not getting the best out of me in one, they're going to get the best out of me in the other, and being able to know that I can compete that way for my team is really big.
Yeah. I love that. I think let's talk a little bit about that.
Mhm.
about, okay, let's talk about hitter Ava first, and then we'll talk
Mhm.
about pitcher Ava.
Mhm.
Hitter Ava, what have you learned? What's changed? What has you been just kind of going through this year as a hitter?
It's definitely I feel like hitting has gotten a little harder for me this year.
Mm.
Just, pitching is better.
Scouts
They
there.
Yeah, they have a year of film on me, and so knowing that I know my weaknesses, they know my weaknesses too, and being able to get better at my weaknesses while also staying strong in my strengths has been really big. And then just trying to stay consistent, I feel like has been the biggest thing for me. I feel like I've had a lot of ups and downs this year offensively. And so the biggest adjustment for me has just been trying to stay consistent without swinging, trying to get hits, and just swinging to hit the ball hard. I feel like
Hmm.
there was a point in season this year where my at bats I was alternating in games for at bats, and sometimes I would come in and pinch hit, and sometimes I wouldn't hit at all. And so just trying to maximize each opportunity and try and stay consistent in those at bats, try and see consistent results, even if they weren't successful results. And then staying positive in those, and trusting my process, trusting my work that I've been putting in with Coach Thomas and Coach Walton and Coach Anea, and just knowing that the adjustments that we're making and all of those things are going to come out in the end for me, and it's going to pay off. I just have to trust that and trust the results, like I said.
Yeah. Are I'm curious, was there a moment for you where you're like, all right, forget everything that's going
Mm-hmm.
on. We're just gonna trust. I don't care how it looks. Like we're just going. Because there was a moment, and I've seen it, not just experiencing it, but just talking to a lot of other athletes. There's a trend where there's like, here comes this moment, and it
Mm-hmm.
just everything pivots, and it helps things become a lot clearer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like this factor where it makes you do a 180, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going, all right, like I'm 100% bought in. I'm trusting it. I don't know how to explain it, but it just totally rejuvenates your mindset and trusting in the process. Have you had a moment, or was it just like from the beginning, we're just gonna trust it. We're just gonna trust it.
I think I tried telling myself I was going to trust it without actually letting myself trust it. It was like I was trying to tell myself all of these things, and knowing on the other side of my brain, I'm like, girl, you ain't listening to yourself right now. No, but I think for me, the pivot was a conversation that I had with Coach Thomas. We were at practice one
Mm,
day, and my problem that I had mentally was I was literally like, I am hitting so well at practice. I'm hitting good live. I'm hitting good in
mm.
scrimmages. Like I'm doing, and then in a game, it's like, don't know where she went, because that's not, it's just not the same. Yeah. And so a conversation I had with Coach Thomas, there was one day at practice where I was just like, I was done. I was just like, I mentally, I was like, this is the lowest I felt hitting. Like
Mm.
I just don't feel like I can figure it out. Like, those moments where you're just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to change. I don't know. Like I've swung different
Yeah.
bats. It's like, it's not the bat. I don't know. And Coach Thomas, like, even kind of got emotional talking to me, and he was like, do not give up on yourself, because I will not give up on you. And
Mm.
from then on, I was just like, that's what that was. And I still tell myself that to this day. And anytime I see him like going into games or whatever, like I knew he believed in me the whole time. I knew the whole coaching
Right.
staff did. But it was like the fact that he, like, it even made him emotional, that I just felt so helpless at the time. Like, and
Mhm.
then he wanted to tell me, like, do not give up on yourself. And from then on, I was that was what changed everything for me. And then we went into it, and I've gone to like a timing slap type thing where like you hold your bat and you go. Never have I ever done that before, ever in my life. But I was like, you know what? If it works and if it helps, let's do it. And I started doing
The
it. And honestly,
classic.
not necessarily like my results are super different, but I've noticed a dramatic change in my at bats. Like strikeout, walk, ground out, home run, whatever. Like my at bats feel so much better. I feel like I have so much more confidence. I feel like I have this
Yeah.
flow. And I may strike out twice in a game, but if I get a hit, I'm gonna celebrate the crap out of it, because it feels so much better, and it feels like I've worked so hard to just scratch one hit a game. So
Mhm.
that's been the biggest thing for me, is going to, mentally knowing like he has my back, and he showed me that, and then just trusting our process, trusting our changes that we're making, and trying to buy into everything.
Yeah. I know sophomore year is pretty tough across the
Mm-hmm.
board because freshman year, like you said, there's a lot of new. You're like, ah, like this is great. Don't even. You're
Yeah.
like, ah. And you have that junior and senior on the team. They're like, just you wait, right?
Mhm.
But sophomore year, there's a scout on you, and now you have some sort of expectation for season, for yourself, for your team, whatever it may
Mhm.
be. But there's some kind of expectation where I feel like sometimes as a freshman, it's a little bit easier to play free. Of course, there's
Mhm.
a pressure to like you want to perform, you want to be in the starting lineup, but you're
Yeah.
you're free. Like there's no
Mhm.
expectation. So I think some of the best athletes, the sophomore year typically is the hardest year for them because
Mhm.
they have to go through that and they have to learn who they are, what their
Mhm.
identity is, and their whole process whenever they're faced with challenges. And that's
Yeah.
always like a big hump of a year, right?
Mhm.
But it's really fun to see that being put into motion, like real life application.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about pitching Ava. What is
Mhm.
she like this year? Have we gone to next level? What
Mhm.
spill? Let's hear it.
I feel like this year, pitching wise, I've definitely had more conversation. I feel like last
Mm,
year I obviously like was just trying to learn and take everything in. And this year, especially having Coach Steph, I just absolutely love her. And I
yeah.
feel like we have built such a great relationship, and she makes me feel like I can be super honest and vulnerable with her. And sometimes
Mm,
pitching just needs that. You need some vulnerability. So I feel like being able to have that kind of relationship has made me so much better, and it's helped just the in general the communication factor that we have with the bullpen, with Coach Walton, everything. Like it's all just it's grown tremendously for me. And then the difference in my relationship with Jossie because of this growth and all of
mm.
these things has just it's gotten so much better, and I feel like we have more confidence in each other, and our relationship is better than ever. And so being able to kind of have this full circle moment has been really cool for me.
Yeah. How does that relationship change? And this is more so like if you're an athlete that's kind of learning and understanding how important a battery is
Mm-hmm.
and the level of connection that a pitcher has with their catcher, a catcher
Yeah.
has with their pitcher, how important. But in practice, I feel like we talk a lot about in game. Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
pitcher knows what the catcher's doing. The catcher knows when to call time and get her
Mm-hmm.
pitcher back in sync. But you don't always get a ton of one-on-one time with your starting catcher and your starting
Mm-hmm.
pitcher. It kind of rotates in. You may get a couple of pins a week, but it's not an every single day, all the time
Yeah.
kind of thing. How do you make the most of that? How do you create that connection?
Well, we do a lot of things outside of the bullpen together, as far as preparation goes. So,
Yeah.
which outside of softball, we do things together, anyways. But in softball, like we do our film together. Obviously, we hit together. We're able to have different conversations that I feel like not all the other pitchers have with her. And obviously,
Mhm.
they all have their different relationships, and they have great relationships. But our relationship, I feel like, is different because we can look at things differently. And whenever we watch film, we can look at more things regarding the hitters because we hit. We can look at
Mm,
their tendencies more because we have our own tendencies, so we know to look for those things. And I just feel like that in itself has grown our trust with each other because we do all of the behind the scenes stuff together. She sees my notes, I see hers. Historically, I've been the game two starter. So after game one, whenever she catches Keegan or Red or whoever may go into that game, she then has notes to game two, and she's like, okay, look, this is what I felt. These are the adjustments I saw. This is what I think we need to do. If we shake, I think this is what we go to. Whenever we're
mm,
warming up, we're gonna work on this and this. We're gonna talk to Steph, things like that. So she's been able to really lead me through what she expects, and then she leaves the floor to me to tell her, okay, yeah, I agree, I disagree, I like this, I don't like this. Um, is there anything else we could do with her? What does she look like? Things like that. And I feel like that's been really big for our relationship.
ugh, I love that because
Yeah.
that to be able to have that kind of conversation, and a theme that I've been having this year on the pod is all about IQ. And
Mhm.
I think something that is taught a lot in high school is how do you develop the basics, the mechanics, and I've seen the level of talent go up. I've seen the performance aspect of it go up.
Mhm.
But I I every time I talk to girls that are still in high school or I'll talk to be incoming freshmen, and a lot of times there's this IQ piece that's kind of missing. And some
Mhm.
kids they get it. Obviously Nathan was great and he taught y'all
Mhm.
a lot about IQ and game IQ and just how to get there, how to even think about it, right? But
Mhm.
it does go to another level once you get to college. So talk to me a little bit about the IQ level whenever it comes to those conversations as a pitcher and as a catcher, you're looking at these scouts and you're creating. You don't have to like give me a specific scout, but
Mhm.
maybe something you didn't do your freshman year, learning and sitting and doing scouts to what you do now that's been kind of a game changer for you.
The biggest change I feel like for me is instead of just going into the film room and watching the film that they would play and whatever, and going into this year, it's like I know what I need. I need to
Mhm.
see this team against my best pitches. I need to see a pitcher who pitches similar to me, whose best pitches are just like mine, or her speed, her velo is similar to mine, and things like that. Like, I need to see those things. I don't need to see a 70-mile-an-hour drop ball pitcher go in there. That's not this. And
That's
we
great.
have people on our staff who would love to see that. But
Yeah.
personally, that's just not what I need. I don't need to see that. I don't need to see how they hit against her. Like,
Mhm.
great. Kudos to them. I need somebody else, right? So just knowing what I need, knowing what I need to see rather than just going in. Like, in all honesty, I never really watched film going into college.
Mhm.
We just, like, in
Yeah.
travel ball, that just wasn't something you do. You played 5
You
games a
don't.
day. It's like, oh, I've played this team my entire life. These are girls that I played since 12U. It's all the same.
Yeah.
But going into college, it's like, they have obviously a lot more preparation going into this. And so
Mhm.
it's like being able to know what you need, knowing what you're looking for, rather than just going in and watching somebody random, has definitely been a big difference. And then another thing for me has been watching film with everybody, including the catchers. And
Mm.
then after game one, the morning of game two, reevaluating with Coach Steph and Joss and even Keegan or whoever pitched the game before. Kind of just feeling out what they thought, how they felt about things, regardless of the score or the outcome. And just, trying to best prepare myself off of my teammates and coach's notes and Jossie's notes and all those things and the people I trust, rather than going off of, another pitcher, another team, another pitch caller, all of those things.
Mm. I love that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that perspective of, okay, I'm gonna information gather and
Mm-hmm.
then go from there. But I also know what information I do need to gather, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything and everything because then that's
Right.
whenever it's like, this isn't helpful. I just wasted my time, or just I'm being overwhelmed by
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of information that doesn't really do anything, right?
Right.
Doesn't move the needle. That's a hard place to find that balance. So, oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Got a yapper. um, Kind of shifting gears a little bit. We'll go back to IQ in a second, but I kind of wanted to talk to you about what it's been like at Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have an iconic culture. Fun fact, I wanted to be a Florida Gator
Mm-hmm.
because I thought their colors were cute and they had a sunflower.
Yeah.
And a couple days after I committed to Oklahoma, they like sent a letter because that's how they did it back whenever I was younger. They
Yeah.
sent a letter in the mail and they invited me to like a prospect camp. And I was
Mm-hmm.
so mad. I was like, after I committed, are you kidding me?
Uh,
But I love it's always so fun just watching that
yeah.
culture. And I've gotten to know a lot of Gators over the years. But
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit about the culture, what it's like to be a Gator, and kind of what your favorite part about it is.
I mean, I'm in love with it here. I love it so much. I love the relationships I've been able to build
Mm,
with the staff, coaches, with my teammates. I mean, they are all truly my best friends, and it's one of those
mm,
things where it's like I've built a family here that I just don't feel like can ever be replaced. But then I also feel like we always play for so much more, and we always know who we're playing for. We know our why, and we put emphasis on that. We had a documentary shown to us, our Yellow Weekend, which I believe was against
mm.
Texas. And
Yeah.
there was a documentary that actually went into the story of Heather Braswell and the reason we wear the sunflowers.
Mm,
I just feel like that story and that entire thing is just so cool. And Coach Anea, who's actually on our staff, was the person who started the sunflowers and who
yeah.
brought Heather in for the team. And then we now have a little girl. Her name's Harley. She just turned 16. So we as a team get to be very involved with her and her family, give them Christmas presents and all of those things. I actually was in charge of making the sunflowers this year, so I just felt, yeah, it's so fun, and it's for such a bigger purpose. And every time that we wear them, I feel like we're all just so reminded of how beautiful life is and how big the thing that we're actually playing for is. And it's so much more than softball, and we're so much more than softball players. And I think that's definitely been the biggest thing for me is I truly feel valued as Ava Brown, not
Mm,
as number 00, and that's
Yeah.
been a huge thing for me, and that's just I am so thankful to be here and to have chosen this program.
Oh, man, like, whenever you're talking, you can just kind of see that outpouring of just, like,
Mhm.
love and appreciation for the program. That's always great to hear. I love that. As far as teammate-wise, who would you
Mhm.
say that you're close to on the team? Like, who's your bud? Who's your pal?
So I live with Alyssa Hovermail, and she
Mhm.
actually just had to redshirt. She had to get shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
But so that's my roommate. And then this year, I've definitely, well, so in the dorms last year, freshman year, Mia Williams lived with me and
Yeah.
Alyssa. So we're definitely really close. And then I feel like overall, Taylor Shoemaker and I have built such a great relationship. I've built a really
Mhm.
good relationship with her family. She's definitely just become one of my best friends, and her family is great, and they take such good care of me whenever my family can't come. So that's definitely a relationship that has been one of my favorites this year.
Yeah, I love whenever, like, you can get, like, adopted by a
Hmm.
family. You're like, "Oh, thanks, I have family
Yeah.
this weekend."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. Whenever we would play in Palm Springs, I
Hmm.
had a teammate and her family would always be there, and it was just the smallest thing, but they would buy the kettle corn that was
Yeah.
out there, and we would sneak it onto the bus, but they would always get me a small bag because
Hmm.
my parents couldn't always come out, to that tournament, and so it's something where it really is special, and it does
Hmm.
become a family, it's a community, and
Yeah.
it's something that does, like, create that bond and
Hmm.
continues to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good to know that it goes so much further than just teammates. Like, oh, like
Mhm.
you're not just my teammate, you're not just my roommate, you're my friend. Like you will help take care of me and I'll help take care of you. And that's that's hard for people who are living on their own for the first time too, being away
Yeah.
from home. My roommate's from California, so it's like,
Yeah.
and so is Taylor Shoemaker. Very like, I mean, talk about complete opposite sides. Like they couldn't get further from home. I don't think if they wanted to, right? And so it's like knowing that I can be that shoulder for them, they can have that for me,
Mhm.
and that their family loves me as much as I love them, and my teammate, my friend. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Special themes that you guys have going into end of conference that you guys have picked up. I feel like a lot of teams, as postseason starts to come around, like, things
Mhm.
click. And whenever things are going in the right direction, you guys have really picked it up. There's a bit of a lull, like mid-conference,
Yeah.
which is fine. It doesn't really matter. It matters what happens whenever postseason comes around, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I've been seeing some themes start to come out. So tell me a little bit
Hmm.
about Florida's.
I think right now our biggest thing is we're just trying to be fun to watch. We're trying to have
Mm.
fun, be fun to watch, make it fun. I think whenever we hit our lull, like every team does, I feel like we got into this mindset of like everything was so serious and everybody was just so
Mhm.
tense. It was like, okay, look, like this is a game, this is fun. And actually, it was right around the time that TikTok trend came out where it's like, I forgot this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
we forgot what it was all about. We forgot that we're not playing softball for the record or for the stats or whatever. Like we're playing for Heather Braswell. We're playing for a sunflower. We're playing for each other. We're playing for 8-year-old me who just wanted to play college softball. Like we're playing for so many things, and it's like I kind of felt like lost sight of that, and we actually just had to have a team meeting, a come to Jesus moment where we were like, look, like it's got to be fun. Let's dance it out. Let's have a
Yeah.
dance party. Let's go play games. Like let's just be people. Let's appreciate each other as people. And I
Yeah.
feel like from then on, we've definitely hit more of like an upward. We're
Oh,
going up.
for
We're getting
sure.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on the up and up. You guys are on
Yeah.
the up and up. Yeah. Big series this weekend.
Hmm.
We won't get too into that, but just knowing that it's going to be a fun crowd this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Knowing how loud y'all get, how fun, especially now, that's your theme of like, can we just have fun? Can we just enjoy the game for the sake of enjoying the game, being present, not trying to
Hmm.
take it too seriously? Because at the end of the day, your job is to throw a ball and
Right.
avoid somebody like hitting it with a stick.
Right.
Like running around in the
Literally.
circle more times than the other team makes you win.
Hmm.
Like how silly,
Hmm.
but how fun to be
Right.
able to really enjoy it. Oh, I love that. But
Yeah.
as far as any messages for the Florida Gator fans that might be watching, anything that you want them to know before heading into this weekend, whether it's to bring their cheer squad, like the Gator caps, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. Any messages?
I just, I hope everybody just comes loud and ready to have fun. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be such good softball. It's gonna be some of the best softball I think that's
Yeah.
been in Gainesville in a while. It's also senior weekend, so getting to appreciate, our Gators that have been with us from the beginning, our Gators that we just got, being able to appreciate everybody and know that this weekend's gonna be full of love. It's gonna be full of fun, and it's gonna be great softball. So you don't
Ugh,
want to miss out for sure. Do
you
not want to
don't
miss
want to miss
out. This is
out.
not one that you want to miss, I promise.
Hey, I'll take your word for it. I'll
Yeah.
fly down right now. Perfect. Well, Ava, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you guys, as
Thank you.
always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, not just on this podcast, I'm in the South, but to all the podcasts on the Softball America Network. I will see you guys next week as tournament season is about to roll around. Ava Brown, everybody, the two-way player.
Thank you so much.